Hey, what's up? So today we're going to be doing a attack drone thing. I'm going to have one button for summoning it and then another button for dismissing it, and then it'll go on a cooldown for however long that you want it to go on, and it's going to be able to shoot and stuff. I don't know. You already saw the intro, so you kind of know what it looks like, but yeah, let's get started. I'm in the third person template, by the way, in case you guys didn't know that. So let's get started. All right. What are we doing? Input and actions. Let's create the input actions for this. Let's see. Input action. I'm going to do like IA underscore summon drone. And then another input action of IA underscore dismiss drone. Miss drone. Alright. And I'm just going to get Control Shift S and it'll save everything. Go back to input. And then in IMC default, we're going to be setting these. So I'm going to put this up here. And you just have to hit the key mappings here to add key mappings. Number one is the summon drone, and that's going to be my one key. You just click on this keyboard and then type whatever key that you want. Or you could go in this drop down menu and look for a million years to find what you're trying to find. Other one's going to be dismiss drone. And number two. Alright, so closing that, we can start creating the drone now, I guess. So let me do right click in the main content place so we can create a new folder here. It's going to be blueprints. Let's go in there and create our first blueprint class here, which is going to be an actor. And this is just going to be the drone summon. Going to call BP for blueprints. Summon drone summon. Drone summon. Yeah. Did I not? Okay. Dock this up here. Save. And parts that we need. Static mesh. So if you already have like a drone or whatever, you can just add your own whatever static mesh that you already have. I don't have a drone, so I'm just going to use a default cube that they have here. I think this is a cool looking cube. Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? With the yellow. And then I'm going to add a sphere collision around this. Sphere collision. And this is going to be our thing that identifies foreign objects here. So I'm going to put 500 on here. I don't know if that's big enough. I don't really know what that looks like in size comparison, but whatever. We can extend it later if we need to. And then I might as well just create the projectile right now just so we could use it later. I'm not going to add any information yet. It's just going to be here for emotional support. BP projectile. Alright, so that's there. We can do a collision on the actual box to make sure it doesn't clip with our camera. I'm gonna do custom. Because I'm on the sphere right now. Actually, for the sphere I want to ignore everything except for pawn. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, I just want it to interact with the pawn there. Alright, so for the static mesh, I want to, let me go in here, block all, because it's a physical object, except for the camera. So we ignore the camera. And that's good. I mean, that's overlap, right? Yeah, that's overlap. All right, so we're good there. So now we should start creating variables here. So I'm gonna start with, actually, just drop this down. I want to look at it. Oh, okay, it drops down the menu anyway, and you add a new variable. All right, so I'm gonna get an owner character, and this owner character is going to be the character that you're playing. So for me, it's going to be the third person character because that's what you get by default. For you, it's whatever character that you have. I fat fingered it. All right. BP third person. Let me click on this. Make this instance editable, expose on spawn. And then we can add other variables on here. So I want a follow offset because I don't want to be right on top of me. So I'm going to get a vector and I'm going to compile this so I can start messing with some values here. I'm going to do 100 x, y. So y height, and then let's see, do like an 80. And we'll see how that looks. You can adjust it accordingly, but this is where it's going to be following you from, according to where your character is. All right, so adding another one, it's going to be the follow speed. And that's just going to be a float of whatever speed you want it to be. I'm going to do something like 8. And then we can add another one, and this is going to be the fire rate, so how fast you're putting out shots. Also a float, by the way. We can make it compile like 0.25. The lower, the faster it's going to be. And then we can get our projectile class here, which is going to be, what did I call the thing? I just called it projectile. Okay, so it's going to be the BP projectile. And it's going to be a class reference. Compile, save. And then we want the current target. So whatever your current target's going to be. So you're just going to make this an actor. Current target being what your drone is currently targeting. And then we can add another thing, and the last thing is going to be a Boolean that determines if it can fire. And when you have a Boolean that has the B in front, the B actually doesn't show when you place it in the graph. Compile, save. All right. So I think we have pretty much everything we need on here. Actually, wait, let me check this. I want it to be on by default for the can fire. All right, so now let's get started with the actual logic with the drone here. And the first thing we're gonna do is have it do the follow you type thing. All right, sorry, I needed coffee. It's the morning and I need some energy. So what I'm gonna be doing here is deleting these things. And off this event tick, I'm going to be, let me just show the first things first. Let me get the owner character, make sure this is valid. This is a check so that you don't end up with errors if you don't have a valid owner target. And if it is valid, we're going to set up a sequence because we're going to do multiple things. The first one being setting actor location. And I'm not going to do a simple, you hit the button and it just spawns out. I'm going to make it so that when you summon it, I'm going to interpolate it so that it kind of like moves and like pops out in like a moving motion. It's going to look really cool. But it means we're going to do a lot of stuff. First thing, grabbing this follow offset thing. Getting this, and then we need to split it because we're going to mess with the X, Y, and Z on this. So I'm going to, let me get the owner actor here. Owner character, get owner character, and then I want to duplicate it twice, so we have 3 of them. Let's see. So I need to multiply this. Wait, let me move these back a little bit. So the first one's get forward. Get actor forward vector because it's the x-axis. Let me move these down a bit. This one is going to be get actor right vector. And this one is going to be getting the actor location. All right. So we need to multiply this by whatever the forward vector is going to be. So we grab off of this. I'll grab off this. I'll hit the multiply button, or you can type in multiply if you want to. I'm going to duplicate this twice because I need two of them. One for the X and one for the Y. Drag this in here. So you have X and Y, and then all we have to do is grab off these follow offsets and reattach them right here. And I need to make more room because I have 0 room. All right, and then I'm gonna need to get a lot of adds, like a lot of adds. All right, so I'm just gonna do one right here, but let me get add right here, and let me just do 2 right, and then they just all go into each other. All right. This looks ridiculous. Sorry. The first thing I'm going to grab off of this forward vector, and this is going to go into the first one. The second one is going to have this one, and then the third one is going to be off the Z. So I need to make a vector off of this. I'm going to attach this to the Z. This looks really bad. And then I'm just going to drag it onto here. And this is what we're going to be interpolating. So I'm just going to get a V interp, which is for vector, interpolate to. And this is going to be the target location. So we're going to grab off the actor location, get actor location. And I'm going to interpolate off these two things. So this one right here is setting where the drone's location is going to be, and this is where the actor location is, your own actor. And I'm going to drag off this delta seconds into the delta time, and the interpolate speed is going to be your, I'm just going to make it the follow speed. However fast you want this thing to move. All right, and then this whole thing goes into the actor location. All right, cool. So now off the sequence, we want to, I'm gonna make sure another is valid. So I'm gonna make you sure you have a current target. So that you can set your rotation to that current target, and then you can fire. So this is all this is going to be doing is just making sure that you have a current target. So if it is valid, you want to set actor rotation to whatever the target's going to be. So if you just going to click this, Control D, duplicate, drag off this current target, get the actor location, and get actor location of your drone here, and then we're going to define the look at rotation. Drag that onto there. All right, cool. All right, so next, what do we want to do? We want to, I'm gonna go into my I'm gonna make an enemy. Let's create an enemy. Blueprint class, I'm gonna do this real quick. I'm just gonna make a character, BP underscore enemy, and we can just do this real fast. Because all it is just ABP unarmed, and then SKM Manny or Quinn, whatever you want, the guy or the girl. We'll just do Quinn, whatever. Gonna drop this down to 90, and then I'm gonna rotate it 90, negative 90, I think. Compile and then save, and then we have our character. I need to add a tag on this. So we need to make sure it has a tag because we're going to utilize that tag as going to be like our targeting sequence thing. So if it has the tag for... Is this in the actor tags? Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. My bad. My bad. Let me go into the main thing. Let me go tag. And there should be one for actor, and that's the tag I need to add in, and we're just going to call it enemy. I'm going to copy this because I'm going to use it later, so Control C on that, and pretty good on that. So I'm going to just close out of this for now. Might need it later, but I don't know if I will. So the sphere, I'm going to click on that, and then we're going to add a on component begin overlap. So as soon as that sphere is overlapping with it, I want to start shooting. So I'm going to grab off this other actor here, and I want to determine if that actor has tag. And it's the tag we just created, so I'm just going to Control V, and I'm going to get a branch on this to determine whether this is true. And if it does have that tag on the actor, then I want to... I'm going to create a new variable here. I'm going to do an enemies in range. All right, I'm doing an enemies in range. I'm going to make it an actor as well. Object reference, right click on it and you turn it into an array. Drag off of that, get enemies in range, and then we can add unique. So now we're adding it to our little queue setup here where it's now part of the potential targets that my sphere can attack. And it'll clear through all the ones that are added with this. If it's within the range of this thing, which I'm going to have something that also removes this as well, and I'll do that later. But we'll be adding this other actor to our add unique. And then we got to do the other part of it. So let me click on sphere and then on component end overlap. So it's going to be out of range. We want to remove it. So actor as tag, I can actually just duplicate this. Sorry, other actor, and then we're going to return it same way, branch. We only want to remove the tag if the actor, not remove the tag. We only want to remove this if it's a enemy. So true. Let me drag off enemies in range here, and we're just going to be removing. So remove item? Yeah. Remove item, and then the item is going to be the other actor that just left. Branch condition, we're going to determine if the other actor is equal to the current target. That condition, and if that is true, I need to create a branch here. So if these two are equal, it's going to need to get a new target. Otherwise, it's stuck targeting something that doesn't exist. So we're going to get enemies in range, and we're going to drag off and get a length. And then off of this, we can see if it's greater than 0. Because if it's less than or equal to 0, then there's nothing for it to target. So condition, if that's the case, then true. Let me grab enemies in range here. Get enemies in range. Get a copy. And then we can set current target. And that's going to be true. But if it's false, then we need to set the current target to be nothing. So I'm not going to have anything attached in that, and then it'll just clear current targets. Compile and save. And now we can go back into here, because I actually need to create a shooting component for this sphere, which I forgot about. So I'm going to get a scene location attached to this, and we can just go out of location. 30 is outside of it, so it's not going to be... I'll make it so it doesn't collide with itself anyway, but yeah, just a little bit, unless you want it to come out of the middle of the sphere, it doesn't matter. This is going to be where the projectile is going to be coming out of. Keep in mind the x-axis is what I'm going to be having it shoot out of, so if you're going to be doing this, just set it up so that the x-axis is facing in the direction that you want it to shoot. Alright, so going into the event graph again, we can start messing around with the shooting now. Alright, event begin play. Dude, where do I want to do this? This looks like a mess. Event begin play is usually at the top. So I'm going to just do event begin play. And then off of this event begin play, we're going to be setting a timer by event. And, ooh, maybe we should create the event first. I'm going to name this event try fire here. So let me do a custom event here. Try fire, and we're going to create that after we set up this timer by event so I don't forget it. Drag off of this, and I'm going to create an event, and that's going to be try fire, and the time is going to be the fire rate. It's how many times it's going to be trying to fire every single time. And it's only going to be successful if you're able to fire. So I'm going to create this branch condition here, can fire, drag off of this, branch, and if it is true, then we want to make it valid. Wait, actually, current target, make sure it has a current target, and get is valid off of that, otherwise we're going to end up with some errors because it's going to try to fire at something that doesn't exist. And is valid, spawn actor from class. It's going to be our drone projectile that we have here, which I just called projectile. But yeah, BP projectile. And then off the let me get the drone projectile first. So let me grab off this projectile here. So we want the difference between the muzzle and then the current target for the projectile to go at. So we want the muzzle. I meant to name it muzzle and then I never named it muzzle. I'm just gonna name it muzzle real quick. Muzzle, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. I can just drag this off here. And then I can get the world location here. Get world location of the muzzle, and then get the current target that you're going to be shooting at, which is right here. And then get actor location. Get actor location, and then we can find the look at rotation. between the two. Start and then end. And I need to split this. Split the structure pin. The transform location, well, actually, let me just put this on here. The transform location is going to be the world location of the muzzle. So you can just drag that off of from the one that we used to find the look at rotation. We don't want to change the transform scale, and the other thing should be good. All right, so if it's not valid, then we need to get a branch, which we need to get the enemies in range. It's kind of the same thing we did before. We need to get the length. And then we need to make sure it's greater than 0. And then we want to make sure on true that we have, let me get the enemies in range here. Enemies in range, get a copy. It's literally the same thing we already did before. And then current target, set current target. Control D, duplicate. And then if not, then we just clear, there's no enemies. Okay. So now that I've created an option for trying to fire for the projectile, we should create the actual projectile. So let me go into the projectile, and we're just going to add a mesh. Now, well, let me see what I want to do. Let's add a mesh on this. Thought it would pop up when I just said mesh, but okay. Static mesh. And then I'm going to add a sphere collision on this. So let me add a sphere collision that I'm going to use for the root. And then I'm going to add a movement. Projectile movement. Static mesh, I'm just going to make a sphere. Like I said, I don't have fancy bullets or stuff. You can use Niagara effects, you can use whatever you want. I'm just going to use a static mesh with a sphere. If you want to use Niagara, just change this to Niagara. Is it pronounced Niagara or something? Whatever. Static mesh underscore sphere. Did I? Okay, that's not a thing. I just want a regular sphere. That's fine. I don't know how big this is. I'll shrink it by like half or something. Shrink it by half. I'll leave it like that. All right, so I'm going to go back into the projectile movement here. Initial speed, I'm going to set at 3,500, and then the other one's 3,500, which is decently fast. And then I want the rotation to follow the velocity. No gravity, so that it flies straight. And I don't care about bouncing or anything like that. So I'm just going to leave everything else the same. All right. So now we, oh, actually, wait a second. I also want it to disappear on its own, and oh, sorry, I have to go in the actor itself. In the actor itself, you can go into lifespan, and you can set what you want its lifespan to be. So I'm going to set 2 seconds. So after 2 seconds, it'll disappear. All right. Sphere collision. Close. Create a custom off of this because we want to set our sphere collision. I'm going to set it to ignore everything except for the pawn, which it's going to overlap because then it's going to set stuff. Yeah. And world static, I'll have it blocking. So compile, save, and then go into the event graph here. and then on component begin overlap. I'm gonna delete all this stuff. Under sphere, we can do on component begin overlap, and then we can drag off of here. I want a branch condition to make sure that the, let me create some variables here. We'll do damage, which I'm gonna make about 10, I guess. So after 10 hits, it'll if I make, never mind. If I make the enemy have 100 health, then 10 shots will destroy the enemy. The other thing is going to be the instigator actor, and we just want to make sure. Let's get actor here. Object reference. We're going to drag off of this and make sure that this instigator actor here is not equal. So not equal to the other actor. So attach this back into the condition, and then off of this other actor, we're going to be actor has tag, and it's going to be that enemy tag again. Oh man, I copied something else, didn't I? All right, well, enemy. And then drag off of this, branch it again. So if it's not the instigator actor and this actor has tag, then apply damage. And that damage is just going to be the damage that we set here. I set it in a variable so that you can adjust it a lot easier. Damage actor is going to be the other actor. And the damage causer is going to be self. Get a reference to self. And then destroy actor after hitting. Compile, save here. All right, so now let's go back to the drone summon here, and then inside spawn actor BP projectile right after this in the try fire option, we are going to be setting the I don't know how you'd say this, instigator actor. So set instigator actor, and these instigator actor is going to be self, so it's going to be the drone itself. So you're not going to be hitting the drone. So ignore actor when moving. Wait, which sphere is the right one? Unfortunately, I named both of them sphere, so I don't know which one's which. Okay, this is the one that's attached to the other thing. Okay. And that's the train. All right, let me duplicate this so I don't mess this up again. Let me drag this return value onto here. Should ignore both. This one is going to be the owner actor here. So let me get the owner actor. Totally missed. Owner character or whatever. And then the other thing should be the self. So reference to self. So it's going to be ignoring both our owner actor, owner character, and then our self, the drone summon itself. All right. Let me just projectile class. Set that. Okay. Next, I want to go into my third person character so that we can actually summon the thing. So content, go into third person, blueprints, third person character. And inside this third person character, actually need to create some variables first. First variable we're going to create is drone class. And this is going to be the drone. So BP underscore drone class. All right. And I didn't even set the class. Let's see, compile, save, and drone summon. All right. Next thing I want is active drone. So active drone. I want to set this to an object reference, and this is going to be our current active drone that we currently have. Then we want a drone cooldown. Drone cooldown, that's going to be our float, and that's going to be however long you want the cooldown to be. I'm going to put it down for 8 seconds. And then I'm going to do my enhanced input actions for summoning drone. So summon drone. And I'm going to do a dismiss drone, because I'm going to use it later. Right now we're going to do summon drone, and then off of triggered, we're going to get an is valid. Is valid if it has an active drone, but we're going to be doing is not valid because we don't want it to summon if it already has a valid drone, if we only want one, which I'm going to be doing for this, but you can set it however you want. I don't have a drone on cooldown. Okay. B drone on cooldown. Okay. So that's going to determine if our drone is on cooldown or not. And if it is on cooldown, then we don't want it to do anything. If it's not on cooldown, then we want to spawn the actor from class, which is the drone class. Drag that onto there. And then I want to split this because I want to get the actor location. And I want to add, so this is however high you want it off the ground. So I'm going to do 80. Spawn that to the transform location and get actor rotation. I'm just going to have it use my actor rotation when it first starts out so that it's facing the same direction as me. And then we can drag off of here again, get our set owner character. Which is going to be self. And then we're going to set the active drone. I'll just do this. Oh, can't do that. Didn't mean to attach to that. It's going to be setting this to this. Compile and then save. And then the next thing we got to do is dismiss the drone, right? Because this should do everything to set the active drone, create the active drone, and then set as the active drone. We need now dismiss this drone. So off of this, we're going to do is valid again for the active drone. So you want an active drone to be valid this time because you should have it out if you're dismissing it. So is valid, and we're going to dismiss it this time. And our dismissing is just going to be destroying the actor. You can do cool effects or whatever that you want to have on here. But I'm not doing this or this. But yeah, after this, you just add whatever Niagara effect at the location of the drone if you wanted to have it dismiss in a cool way. But I don't really have any effects right now. So active drone, destroy actor. It'll just disappear. And then we want to set the drone cooldown to be active so that it's not able to initiate for another 8 seconds, which we're going to do in a second. So we want to do a drone cooldown, and we want to set the drone cooldown to the number of seconds that we have on there, which is 8. Set timer by event. So this is our way of resetting the clock. And then the time every 0.1 seconds for smoothness. I'm going to promote this to a variable, and then this is going to be our drone cooldown timer handle, because this is a timer handle. And then drag off of this, well, actually I need to loop this, events, and I don't have a event for this yet, actually. Let me do custom event. So we're gonna add a custom event here, tick drone cooldown. And I can create this event here. Create event. I'm not gonna find it in all this. Let me just look it up. Tick drone cooldown. And so every 0.1 seconds it's going to be ticking through the drone cooldown. And we're going to be setting the drone cooldown. Drone cooldown. Does that make sense? Let me do this instead. Let me do a drone cooldown remaining. Okay, this is gonna make more sense. So that way you're just gonna be resetting the drone cooldown remaining. Okay, and then attach this to there. Okay, so instead I'm gonna do drone cooldown remaining set down here, and we are going to take the cooldown remaining every tick on this thing, and we're going to be subtracting it. I chose 0.1 up here for smoothness, but you can change it to whatever you want. It's going to look like this if you have 0.1. Otherwise, change it to whatever time that you're putting in here. And then we can clamp float. Clamp float. And then for the max number, we can get the drone cooldown. And then we just reattach this up here. And then off of this, we're going to make sure it is less than or equal to 0. Because if it reaches less than or equal to 0, then it's no longer on cooldown. So branch, it's already cut off here, so it shouldn't go less than 0. This is just an additional check to make sure it doesn't go past that 0 point. But you want to make sure that it's at least equal to 0. So true, we're gonna set drone cooldown remaining to 0. And then, so that way it resets it back to 0, so there's not really a problem. I don't know if you need that. Well, whatever, I'm just gonna leave it there. We're just gonna clear, make sure everything's good. So clear that to 0, and then make the drone on cooldown to be unchecked. And then we can attach this drone cooldown timer handle, and we can, sorry, I didn't mean to set that. I meant to clear and invalidate it. Actually, let me drag off this. Then we need to clear and invalidate timer by handle, so it's no longer ticking. Compile, save, and that should be good for the drone working. Okay, so next thing we want to do is go into the widget here. So let me create a new folder for widgets. Although I'm only going to have this one widget. Let's do user widget. So WB underscore, I'm just gonna call it drone ability. So W for widget blueprint, drone ability. This is a user widget. I'm gonna drag off a canvas panel. This is not gonna be very in depth at all. Canvas panel. We can do a size box. Size box. Drag off of this. I'm gonna put it like right in the middle bottom of the screen. Alignment 0.5 so that it centers to the center. Centers to the center. I'm gonna have X and Y be 100. So it's a nice square. I need to move this up a little bit. Let's make the x-axis go. Sorry, not x-axis. It's gonna be y. I think it's negative if you're going up. All right, and then I can just center this in the center of the box. Okay, so what do I want? I just want a picture, and then I want a cooldown. So I'm gonna put an overlay inside this. So overlay goes inside this box, and then I'm gonna get a image inside the overlay. I'll name it. Oops. It's gonna be like drone icon. And it is a variable already, so I don't need to do that. And then I want a text in the overlay as well. And we're just gonna call this text, it's just gonna be cooldown. So text, cooldown. And this is gonna need to be a variable as well because we need to change that. For the default, just so we can see what we're looking at, it's gonna be 8. What am I doing here? Oh, I need to fill this. Okay, I'll just do that then, I guess. This icon is going to be whatever icon that you make it into. So I'm going to actually just change this icon real quick. Let's make this that. And then I can take this text, now that I can see it, I can now align this right in the center. I'm going to make this bigger. Font. What is 50? That's fine. It's visible. So 50, and then by default, we want this to be hidden. So visibility, we want it to be hidden because we only want to show when it's on cooldown. All right. So now we can go into this graph and we can start setting things up. So I want to create an owner character. Owner character. And this is going to be our third person character. Third person character. Object reference. And then in this, I want to make it instance editable and expose on spawn. Do I need any other variables? Probably not, actually. I don't think so. I'll grab them later if I need them. All right, so functions. I'm going to create a function, and this is going to be refresh drone UI. Refresh drone UI. All right, drag off of this. Actually, I'm going to just make sure this is a valid thing first. Always check if it's valid. And if it is valid, I'm going to create a branch condition, which is determining whether the drone is on cooldown, which is in my owner character. Drone is on cooldown. Check that condition. If that's true, you want the text cooldown. If it's on cooldown, then you want to show. So set visibility, and you want to be visible. Off of this, we can Let's get the owner character again. Get the owner character, drag off of this, drone cooldown remaining. And then we can seal. So it changes it to an integer that we can use. Let's do set text. We can set, wait, I need the text of the cooldown. Get this, set the text here. Is there a way to like, let me just move this down a little bit. All right, I'm going to drag this on here and it'll auto convert it to an integer. And then off of this, we can, I want to set the opacity so that there's a clear difference to show that it's on cooldown as well. So I'm just going to like have the opacity of the image itself so that it shows a little bit better that it's on cooldown. And then on the false here, we can set visibility and set this to hidden. Sorry, I set the whole thing. So let me get the text cooldown. I need the visibility of this. So set visibility false. So if it's not on cooldown, we want it to be hidden. And then we can just, we don't need to set the text because we don't need a text there. And then we can just take the image of the drone icon, set opacity, and we can set that back to 1. All right. Cool. Next, I think I'm good here. I can just call the refresh drone UI every time I do something. So let me go back to my third person character here. And then on event begin play, which I don't have an event begin play yet, I'm just going to do it up here. Event begin play. I kind of want to do it underneath all this stuff. Well, let me just move all this. Okay. Let me do it up here. So it's with all the other stuff I created. I'm going to create the widget. And that's the thing we just created, WB drone ability. The owner character is going to be yourself. Reference to self. And don't need the owning player. We can just set the, I'm going to promote it. And then I'm going to set, not set, drone UI widget. Okay. Setting this here because we're going to use it later. Add to viewport. So that we can actually see it on our screen, and then we can get the drone UI widget that we just set a variable for so that we could call this refresh drone UI thing over and over again because we're about to use this a lot. Actually, I might just copy this. Control C. I don't think that matters. All right, so next I'm gonna go into summon drone. So on summon drone, right after I'm not gonna mess with summon drone. All right, so right after here in dismiss drone here, right after this, and right before you start ticking, I'm going to call I'm going to call that refresh drone that I just copied. When you first start the timer. So then it's first started activated, and then every single time that you go down into cooldown, you want to refresh it as well. I gotta stop doing that. All right. Try that here and then here. So refresh drone UI here, but then also after you're done with your cooldown, you want to show that it's off cooldown. So you also have to do it right here. And it'll set it back to normal. Do I need it for summon drone? Yeah, after you... I'm going to do here. I'm going to do here to be safe. Refresh drone here. Yeah. Alright, so that's good. Actually, I can probably take a look at it and see what it does right now. I'm going to create damage on it so that you can actually see it damaging things. Let's see. Third person. No. Blueprints. Enemies. Let's create a few just so. Okay. Alright, and then I hit play and it's on cooldown, which means that I messed something up. So in drone ability, drone on cooldown, that's in owner characters, isn't it? So drone summon, projectile, third person character. Drone on cooldown. Make this drone on cooldown not on cooldown. And then I can hit play. And then when I hit 1, it pops out my drone. It's not going to go on cooldown yet until I destroy it. But let me see if it fires first. If I'm close enough. And it is not firing at the target. So let me go back over here. Can fire. True. Let's see. Where's can fire? Drone summon. It should be in here, right? Try. Oh, it's not on looping. All right. Okay, looping now. Let me hear play. Okay, now it's firing. Okay, so it's firing at that target. I'm leaving the radius of that target, and it should stop firing after it leaves the radius, but it is not. So let me go back into my drone summon here and look at why it's not clearing the radius here. So actor has tag. Oh, it's not removing the other actor. Did I not do this? All right. So now I've removed it. I don't know why I didn't do that before. All right, so 1. It's now firing. That's actually really close range. Let me expand the drone summon area here. So let me go to the viewport here and do this like 1,000. Compile, save, play. All right, so if I do 1. Okay, so now it's firing, and then when I get out of range, it stops firing. And it'll choose other targets that are within range if it's run out of range with one of the targets. Okay, and then if I hit 2, it goes on cooldown for 8 seconds. All right, now that we got all those bugs worked out and stuff like that, I'm just going to do a simple health thing on the enemy. So it's not going to be anything much, but we already have the damage, applying damage. We just need the enemy to get the damage. So all I'm just going to do is get a variable for max health for the enemy and do float. And we're going to do a health one down here, and we're going to make them both 100. So 100 and 100. And then on event begin play, I'm going to set the current health to be the max health. And then here, I'm going to do event any damage. And because we have an apply damage function, we can just grab off of the damage and we can subtract it. So let's determine to make sure that it is greater than 0. And if it is greater than 0, we want to set the current health to be damaged. Let's do a subtract by the current health. So the damage that's coming in is going to subtract however much damage that is to the current health, and then setting the new current health. Clamp it if you need to. Probably don't need to clamp it for this, but I'm just going to do it just to show. Show clamping, because clamping is good. Branch. This condition is going to be whether the current health is greater than or equal to 0. Greater than or equal to 0. And then if this is true, I'm going to do a little effect spawn system at location. And I think there's like some type of explosion. Simple explosion. I'm going to do simple explosion. I'm going to get the actor a location. And it's just going to spawn a location at this. Sorry. It's going to spawn an explosion at this location. And then I'm going to destroy the actor. Alright. Cool. Just a little added effect there. I'm going to hit play. And then I'm going to hit my 1 button. And I feel like those guys were killed too quickly. How strong did I make the bullets? Or did I mess up the health? Health is 100. How much damage did I put on these? 10. To what? Okay, this drone is one-shotting these guys. Oh, I see. I say greater than. It's supposed to be less than or equal. I'm just messing up today. All right. Cool. That was our problem. All right, let's see. 1. All right. After it takes 10 shots, and it destroys all the things. So let me do this one more time. I'm gonna hit 1. It summons my drone. It fires. It blows up the enemies. And then if I hit 2, it makes my drone go on cooldown. And that's pretty much it. Oh, I had so many errors in that. Oh, man. But, yeah. I hope that was helpful. And have a good one. Bye.